How much is daycare where you live? Honestly, I'm not going to complain, but I just got my tax statement in, and we paid out over $17,000 last year just in childcare, which, again, I'm not complaining because I pay a whole lot less now where we live versus where my kids used to go, where it was literally $400 a week for one child. So I am way grateful for my child care facility. Also, I completely love my daughter's teacher, and the admin is wonderful, and they deal with my crazy, my good days, my bad days. So I feel like they are honestly just amazing. They're therapists, they are teachers, and people say, oh, they're glorified babysitters. No, unless you have been in the classroom, you don't understand. I worked at the daycare for several years, and I give them props because if I had to do it long term and full time, I think I probably would go insane. So I'm just curious what y'all's child care facility charges and what state. Y'all have a good one.
Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel Cook. We will be reacting to a new video today, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get into the video.
You guys, do you want to know something absolutely crazy? It's the cost of childcare in this country. Now, I live in Northeast Ohio, in a nice suburb, but I'm not in New York City, I'm not in Chicago, I'm not in California where prices are sky high. But I am paying nearly $2,000 a month for my child to go to daycare. $1,700. That is almost what I'm paying for my 15-year amortizing mortgage on my house. On top of that, I have to pack her lunch every day, pack her breakfast, diapers, wipes, all supplied by me. So my question is, if your household income is not more than like $150,000, how are you paying for that? How can you afford to work if you have to pay for childcare and you're paying a mortgage and you're paying all your other life expenses? Especially if you're a single parent, like, how does that math? It literally doesn't make sense. And now that I have 2 kids, I am going to be staying home full time with them because that is more economically feasible for me to stay home with them and have my husband work versus me working, having them to go to daycare, and having a 2-person working household. I'm sorry, but to me that is just crazy, and I'm not one to usually harp on those type of issues, if you will. I just truly don't understand how most Americans can afford it. I really don't. It doesn't make sense to me.
How did we end up in 16 grand's worth of debt? One big reason is childcare fees. They are extortionate. So, of course, if you want to have a job and have children, you have to have some sort of childcare provider that you put your children into. And unless you are a multimillionaire, you can never ever save enough to prepare for that, basically. So we used to pay the best part of like 500 quid a month for childcare fees, which is extortionate. But not only that, we also moved house, which of course naturally meant our mortgage had increased, as well as all the other bills that were steadily increasing at the time. So to pay for the other things, like the essentials like food, fuel, things like that, they were things that were having to go on credit cards, as well as I remember the dishwasher and tumble dryer had broken the first week that we moved into this house. So before we knew it, we were then £900 into our credit card, which we had just previously, 6 months prior, we were credit card free. Better still, we had 10 grand's worth of savings, which we had saved up for my maternity leave. But because it was COVID times, we didn't spend any of it because no one was going out and spending any money. So we just ploughed it all into the house, basically. I appreciate being in that position. We're very, very fortunate. So I'm not taking anything away from that. But yeah, just having those childcare fees it's just so expensive. And if you don't know this already, childcare fees in the UK are the second most expensive in the developed world, and there hasn't been enough investment into the childcare infrastructure, and because of that, costs are being passed on to parents, and yeah, we're having to stump up for those costs. And I'm definitely not saying, I'm not going to get too political about it, but I'm not saying people should be paying for our children, but we should at least be at a point where we are at the same level as other Western societies, where societies understand the importance of having the next generation of people be born, basically. And I also feel, I promise myself I'm not going to get too political, but I also feel as new parents, and especially new mums, but even dads get this as well, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So if you don't go to work, you kind of get people sort of going, oh, you're a stay-at-home mum, like you're way net a slob. Or if you do go to work, people are like, well, oh, you're getting someone else to raise your kids for you, and it's just a lose-lose situation. So yeah, I always knew the nursery fees were going to be a temporary fix for a longer-term solution. And luckily, fortunately, even though we are £16,000 in debt, we are in a much better position financially. We actually haven't spent too much on our credit cards in the last 6-7 months. We haven't needed to, because our career's a lot more stable. I'm in a role where I'm not commission based anymore, so our income's more stable. We don't have to pay the childcare fees, of course. So that's kind of why we've decided to tackle this now when we're in this position. But the problem is that we're starting off on the back foot. So yeah, that's kind of why we're in this position we are now. If you're still here, thanks so much for listening. I'd love to hear your views on the childcare situation. I know there has been a reform in it, but there's still continuous problems with that reform. There's a lot of robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of situation. Again, I'm not getting political about it, but yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And yeah, have a great week, everyone, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye.
I just saw a video on the FYP saying that a report came out. I don't know when the report came out, but this is what the video said. A report came out that childcare in 40 states is now more expensive than college. And I just have to explain something. These people inevitably complain about a birth decline and everything that's going to do with our economy because it's going to fuck us up. Remember this. I would have been on my 3rd child by now if it had not been for the price of childcare alone. I can afford to feed them, I can afford to clothe them and house them, but I cannot afford $3,500 times 3, or even 2, or even 1. The daycare I was on before, I was on a financial aid program through the courts that I worked for. Hey babe. And then now my man, who just walked by, stays home with our daughter because he studies and does school at night, and then stays home with our daughter during the day, so that we don't have to pay the childcare. Because it should not cost the same as a fucking mortgage to have my kid at a daycare or a preschool. So when they complain about this birth decline, just remember that there's women like me who fully love motherhood, who chose motherhood, who would have 2 or 3 kids max, because let's not get crazy, but can't and won't because of the system that they designed.
Okay, so get this. I'm just going through our bank statement, just looking to see how much more money is going to be dug out for Christmas, because it's Christmas Eve. Anyways, I noticed that our daycare charged us $50. And I thought that was weird because they had asked me if B was going to be there, and I said no. So, and we've never been charged $50. That would be a really weird amount. So I call and ask, and I'm like, hey, why were we charged $50? I thought this week in my head would be free and next week would be free. I actually thought we'd be saving $125 this week and next. And anyways, I call and she goes, yeah, so she's not here this week, right? And I said, no. She goes, okay, well, we don't charge for food this week, but we charge for aftercare. And I said, oh, okay. So when you guys choose to close, which they've chosen to close for 2 weeks because she's in the pre-K for school, which for the 2 weeks they want to charge $500 for care. And then they would have charged me another $125 for her to be there after hours, which they're not even allowed to be there all after hours because they're on special holiday hours. So they still charge you, and because we didn't use our half days of vacation days, they were nice enough to give us the discount and give us $50 and charge us only $50. But I guess I'm just so naive or mind blown that you're choosing to close down your facility. You asked if we needed the extra childcare, which we didn't, and then we still get charged. But I'm not even allowed to bring my kid there right now from 2:30 to 5:30 or 6, because then they would charge us even more. But we have to pay to like hold our spot for 2 weeks when they chose to shut down. I don't know. My mind's like blown. I just can't make it make sense. Thankfully it's only $50. I'm just cheap, but I was so confused why they would charge us $50.
A quick reminder, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's continue the video.
Hi guys, I thought I'd just do a little dish up dinner with me. It's nothing amazing. As you know, I'm actually in emergency accommodation. This isn't the emergency accommodation, this is my mum's. But I just wanted to put on here and talk about how expensive childcare is. Now, for a bit of context, I work normally full-time, as childminder couldn't look after her anymore. I've had to take time off to go and find new childcare, and being a single mum, there's no one else to look after my baby. But I literally just got the invoice in, and I'm not joking, right? I don't actually, you have to like be able to afford the like upfront payments, and I actually don't get how people can afford stuff like that. It's so expensive. It's ignored the fact my potato was literally not cooked on the inside whatsoever. But what I was saying is childcare is so expensive, it's unbelievable. Like my upfront costs, bearing in mind I'm not going for like a fancy nursery, and they still want £900 up front, and then that's 2 weeks before the initial payment. I mean, I know it settles itself out, and obviously being on my own I can claim 85% back, but bearing in mind they sort of only pay like 50% of that the next month, and then it takes like something stupid between 3 and 6 months to fully catch up. Anyway, I'm just baffled because where I'm in emergency accommodation, I don't have any cooking facilities, nothing, so I have to get things that you can either make through hot water through a kettle, or on the odd evenings I can come here, I can make dinner. I just don't get how the system works, because I'm still working because I want to provide for my children. We love it when the phone dies, but I was just essentially saying I don't get how it's supposed to work, how you're supposed to afford to live, work, look after children on your own. You know, the system's supposed to be there to support you, and I don't really think it does that, to be honest.
So mum, dads, parents, whatever, help me with childcare, child cost, who pays, who doesn't. If you don't get funding, who should pay? You're both parents, obviously we're not together. My daughter actually doesn't see her dad, as he chooses not to. But she is our daughter, and we both work. Bearing in mind he works, 60 something hours a week, works a lot, whatever, earns a lot of money, and because I can't get child funding, I've now got to pay child costs. Right, so if she's both our daughter and we both work, why isn't that split? Like, am I making sense or am I not? Because I don't know if I'm being unfair. I don't know if I'm being unrealistic as a parent. Are we expected to pay half if we both work? Now, I can't even work full time because I wouldn't be able to afford the childcare because it's another mortgage. It's another month's rent, whatever. So I only work a couple of days a week. I can't afford to put her in full time. Why am I expected to pay for the childcare when we both work? I'm struggling to fucking take a breath. Why should I suffer and not be able to work when he can work because he don't pay for childcare when he's got a child? Like, can someone please help me and tell me what's right from wrong, because I don't know. I feel like I'm now fucking suffering. Sorry, I don't want to get upset. I feel like now I'm suffering because I've now got to fork out all these fees for childcare. Like, honestly, I can't cope.
That is literally so insane to me. In over 40 states, childcare is more expensive than college. That is literally so insane to me. For just one child, childcare is more expensive than college in just 1 year. And it's even more expensive than rent or even a mortgage as well. Like, that is so insane. Thank God I don't even have children right now. Man, thank goodness. All the parents out there. How are you guys surviving? Are you guys okay? Honestly, are you guys okay? Because this is literally insane. How do you guys plan everything out?
So, I just saw a video of someone asking why preschools, the cheapest starting out, the tuition is $1,700 a month. And to a lot of people, yeah, that sounds very unreasonable. I can understand that. I can understand why someone might think that. However, I'm speaking as someone who used to work in childcare. That was literally the first ever job that I got as a young adult. I was 19, 20? 20? Yeah, I was 20-ish when I got my first job in childcare. I'm not going to say the company that I used to work for, but I used to work in childcare. The reason why tuition starting out is that much for the cheapest childcare, right, is because, one, they feed your children at least 2 meals a day. They feed them breakfast and lunch, if you make it to breakfast time. And then they also give children 3 snacks a day. They give them 3 snacks a day. And what they feed them is very, very nutritional, very good food. And they also take into consideration the child's dietary restrictions for allergies, things like that, right? Or some parents choose to have their child as vegetarian or vegan, so they have to eat certain things. Most companies will make the parents bring their vegetarian friendly or their vegan friendly diet options for the child, right? And then for babies and toddlers, they change the diapers every 2 hours. Now, kids are there for typically, for longest period of time, they're there for 7 hours, 6 to 7 hours. Ideally, you should only be leaving your child there for 4 to 5 hours at most. But again, not everyone has that luxury. Most people work at 9 to 5. They work 8 hours a day. So that makes sense, that they're there for 7 hours. So they're going to be changing the diapers every 2 hours. And then for preschool age, they're teaching them how to use the potty at the parent's discretion. They are teaching from 2 years old on. They are teaching your child how to use the bathroom and learn what their body is telling them when they need to use the bathroom for certain things, whether it be number 1, number 2. Okay? And then they're not just teaching your child curriculum and like age appropriate like things to get them to a point where they need to be mentally. They're also teaching your child empathy. They're teaching them to care for others. To see, oh, little Johnny is upset. How can I help them not be upset? Oh, what I've done, like hitting them with the toy or taking the toy away from them or whatever. It teaches them to see, oh, my actions affected someone else. And now what can I do to make that better, to reconcile what I've done. Okay, you follow me still? They're also teaching that. So while yes, $1,700 at a base, at a minimum. This is a minimum. This is like the cheapest option you can find. That sounds like a lot, but you're getting all of that. You're getting all of that. And on top of that, the preschool teachers, the preschool caregivers, they're putting up with a lot of behavioral I'm not going to say they're issues because they try not to say, like, oh, whatever this child does doesn't mean that the child is bad. The child isn't bad, but the behavior is undesirable, okay? Right? That's things like biting. That's things like outbursting on other children. That's things like, not listening. That's things like, like that. There's a lot of undesirable behaviors that children exhibit that the teachers have to put up with. And they have to do it with a smile on their face, and they cannot get mad at the child. They cannot show any type of negative feeling towards the child when they're acting a certain way. They have to remain calm. They have to talk to them in a gentle way. They have to handle it in a gentle manner. Because if they don't, that traumatizes the child. And I don't know about you, but if someone were to traumatize my child in childcare, where I'm supposed to trust them to keep my child safe, I would not be okay with that. I would not be okay with that. I'd be very, very upset. So that's what these people have to do, on top of everything else. And they also have to keep track of up to 20 different other kids, up to 30 different other kids. So yeah, $1,700 might be a lot, but you also have to think about everything else that comes with what they're doing, other than just having your child be in a safe space while you are at work. That's about it. See ya.
I think a mother always needs help. Now, in other parts of the world, you have sometimes free childcare, and even the paid for childcare is not as expensive as the childcare in America. For example, you may even just be home and let the kids play outside without watching them. They'll be outside, entertain themselves, have friends to play around with the entire day, and only maybe come in for lunch and then go back out and play and come in for dinner. While in America, your eyes have to be fully present on a child. If you want to take them to play with other kids, you have to literally drive them there to go and play. So a mother is easily burnt out in America. One thing you have to understand to keep your glow, to keep happy, is to understand that you need help. You cannot do it on your own. Every part of the world, people understand that they can't do it on their own. It takes a village. So if you cannot afford to pay for childcare, your partner has to be fully present as well. Even if he fully provides in the home financially, he has to help. There are times when he will have to take the kids to play dates. There are times when he will have to stay with the kids, and you will have to have your own me time. Because if you don't get that, your children won't get the best of you.
I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.